Great. Well, I'm so delighted to be here with Senator Scott and Congressman Gowdy, two members of Congress that I deeply admire. And I'm really looking forward to talking with the people of South Carolina here in Aiken about a whole host of issues. So with that, I know you're eager to get to your questions, so why don't we dive in?
Ms. Fiorina, another
Yes.
mass shooting in America, 41 school shootings so far this year. Is there anything that you think can be done, and would you support universal background checks for gun purchases?
You know, one of the first things I think we can do is prosecute those folks who have guns and are not supposed to have guns under the law. We need to know more about this particular shooter, but it would appear that he is one of those individuals who should not have had access to a gun. Congressman Gowdy and I were talking just before we came in here, and it turns out that, I think, Trey, you were saying that less than 1% of the individuals who should be prosecuted under the law for owning a gun that they shouldn't own have been prosecuted. So clearly we have an issue. We also know now that this campus was a gun-free zone, and yet somehow this individual got onto campus with not one gun, but several guns. So before we start calling for more laws, I think we ought to consider why we don't enforce the laws we have, and I think we need to know a little bit more about this incident. There are at least some disturbing details that indicate that he was curious about people's religion before he started shooting, and that's obviously something we need to know more about as well. I found the President's comments last night premature at best, and at worst, a really unfortunate politicization of this tragedy.
How would you suggest we go about finding out who has guns and isn't supposed to?
Well, let's start, and the congressman may want to add to this, but let's start with, we know about a whole bunch of people who have guns and aren't supposed to. They're on a list, and yet we're not doing anything about it. We're not prosecuting them. Many murders are committed by people who are not supposed to have guns and who have guns. We know this, it's a fact, and yet these people aren't prosecuted. And so we've got lots of guns in the hands of dangerous criminals.
As a South Carolina agribusiness is huge here. As a businesswoman, what would you say to farmers in South Carolina who might have concerns about any plan that would call for rounding up foreign workers and shipping them away, and the impact that that might have on agribusiness in South Carolina?
Yeah. Well, look, we've had a discussion about immigration for 25 years, and we've never fixed it. So we've been talking about an insecure border every election cycle for 25 years. And we've been talking about the fact that the legal immigration system is broken, and we've been talking about that for 25 years. And yes, we clearly need a guest worker program as part of that legal immigration system that works for agribusiness. We've been talking about this for decades. It's an example of why people are so frustrated with the status quo in Washington. Talk, 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 and yet we never solve these festering problems. Of course we have to have a legal immigration system that works. Of course we have to have a guest worker program that supports agribusiness. We need to get on with it. It's one of the reasons I'm running for president, and I think it's one of the reasons you see so many voters supporting outsiders who have I have a track record of challenging the status quo and resolving festering problems. This is a festering problem. I would also say, by the way, with regard to farmers, you know, I'm highly concerned, as should they be, with the EPA's overreach on the waters of the United States. The EPA now controls 99% of the water in this nation. That's a bad thing for farmers, because it means that they are breaking rules with the groundwater on their farms and may not even know it.
One last question.
Missouri State just recently cleared Planned Parenthood of any wrongdoing. Do you still stand by your comments in the second debate?
Absolutely. And by the way, that's so fascinating to me. I mean, it's also interesting that a forensic analysis of these videotapes has been performed. Of course, the media won't report on it. And the forensic analysis concluded that the tapes had not been doctored. This is propaganda pushed forward by Planned Parenthood and aided and abetted by the media. It's stunning to me. There is no doubt. Ask yourself this question. Why is it Planned Parenthood cannot and will not deny late-term abortions are being performed for the purposes of obtaining brains and other body parts? Because it's happening. It's happening.
Thank you.
Is there
Senator
a
Scott.
second
Thank you,
one
Rex.
there?